remember.
The boys worked with Hank as soon as they were old enough.
10.
He wanted them to work sooner.
I did. 7, 8, but every time Will and Theo walked out the front door, she said...
No, they're not ready. Not yet.
So I waited.
Until the boys themselves didn't want to wait any longer.
They wanted to be out with their dad.
Amy, she loved the animals, but it was books for her.
All day, all night, books.
Everyone grew. They grew so quick.
High school.
William and Amy, college.
Theo stayed to work the farm.
And then my dad died, and my other brother,
Luke.
He was welding like our dad, trying to cover his mortgage and now our mom's mortgage.
He lost his job. We wanted to help, but Luke, he wouldn't let us.
Right around the time Amy, our youngest, left for Missoula.
Your mom?
Mom, she lost her house.
Luke took it hard, blamed himself.
My brother, he had a wife, 2 girls. He shot himself.
His wife and kids, they moved to North Dakota to be with her people.
And my mom.
She moved in with us.
And the farm grew.
I guess I had a sense of how to keep things going.
Well, he always seemed just ahead of bad weather.
So change.
Our kids, Theo got married and started a family.
Built a house right here on the farm.
Will joined the army.
Amy stayed in Missoula, got a job teaching.
And we felt lucky.
Years passed.
And Theo's son, Mark.
One of his 3.
Mark started having some trouble in school.
Yeah, me and Mark, we'd always been close.
Mark would fish with his grandpa.
He'd ride the tractor with me.
Or he'd feed the animals.
Out of all of our
And
grandkids,
we had 6 by now.
Mark was the one I figured would stick around, would want this land.
Would want this life.
So when Mark stopped coming around,
He was 14.
well, for a while I figured he was doing his teenage thing, that he'd be back.
Now, Hank said it was fine, but I could see how much it hurt. I knew though Hank was a good father, he'd never been close with our boys. He was always a little distant, a little far away, like lots of men who came home after the war. But with Mark, he laughed, he played. The longer Mark wasn't around, a year, 2 years, the more out of sorts Hank seemed. So without telling him, I started asking our son Theo how Mark was doing.
Theo would say, "He's fine, Mom, he's just a teenager."
And one day, after months of not laying eyes on him,
She saw Mark in town.
outside the post office, middle of a school day,
She walked over to say hello.
he looked up, saw me.
He got up quick, shaky, and walked away.
I called out to him.
But he just walked quicker.
Mark dropped out of school.
Theo said that he was staying with a friend.
By the time Mark was 16,
No one in the family ever seemed to know where he was.
his mom, Theo's wife, was sad-eyed at Sunday dinners.
And Theo, he got this clenched look, one he'd never had before.
He looked tight. My friends, sometimes I'd see them give me glances like they felt sorry for me, like there was a secret they didn't like keeping but couldn't not keep. And Hank.
At the VFW, I'd started hearing about drugs, about kids getting messed up, and how sometimes it seemed nothing could help them. Not that anyone seemed to know how to even try to help them. People talked about it like it was hopeless as soon as it started.
Hank didn't understand. He'd been to war, he'd lost a brother, he'd lost a daughter, but nothing left him feeling as helpless as knowing Mark was out there somewhere and he couldn't do anything for him. And feeling helpless didn't suit Hank. I could see he was getting his own version of tight, sort of shutting everything out, shutting me out.